Well, welcome to my channel, Anatomy of CAD. And if you have stumbled across my video, you perhaps already use CAD design or you want to learn more about it. I am using Matrix 3.4 and I am a jewelry designer who has used CAD for over 12 years. And I wanted to share with my audience some tips and tricks and some nuances of CAD design. Perhaps you want to be a jewelry designer and you're not sure how to go about it or what the program would look like. So here we go. This is Matrix 3.4. This is what we call a viewport. We have a top viewport, a perspective, a right view, and a front view. I'm going to just bring in a solid or two so that you can see what I'm talking about, and we will go into what these are in depth later. So I'm going to activate my perspective viewport. I want to zoom it in, so I'm going to double click and I'm going to change it to shaded. We will go over that later. And also want to, let's see, I'm just clicking around doing a few things to kind of set it up to show you. Let's see, there we go. And we are going to be going into all of this in depth in a little bit. Okay. All right, so if you have worked with a design software, you know that some of them can be kind of complicated. This one is no exception, but I feel like anybody can learn CAD software. The tricky part is the troubleshooting when you run across a problem and you're not sure why you've run across that problem or how to fix it. So that's why I'm here, hopefully to help you fix all of your CAD problems. Okay, so I have this in what we call wireframe mode. How do I know that? Well, I can go up to the top, little top view. I can right click on that and it tells me it's in wireframe mode. If I were to right click on this one, it tells me I'm in render mode. I can also change the mode by right clicking and then clicking. If I tell you to click, it's automatically a left click. If I tell you to right click, it's a right click, and it also means that you're potentially entering with the right click. So we have all of these different modes that we can use. My most common one is wireframe, ghosted, shaded, or render. So I've got all those up for you to see. Now, if I wanted to change those modes, let's say I have this in ghosted and I want all of them to be ghosted. There's a couple ways I can do that. I can just right click or enter and it duplicates what I've done. So render, right click, there we go. Wireframe, right click, right click. Another way that I can do that is using the display mode. Oh, let me hide those. No, there we go. And the display modes are down here. So I'm going to walk you through kind of the bones of Matrix. I'm going to try to keep it around 20 minutes so it's a little more digestible. And so this is considered part one. All right, so let's put this back in render, this back in shaded, this back in ghosted, just so you can kind of see the different modes. Up here in the Matrix menu, for the main menu, you click the M. All right, and I want to click that and take a look at it. You can get a new viewport you can open an existing file. You can save small, save as small. And then you can import and export. There's certain things that if, for example, you are importing a mesh file, you don't want to open a mesh file, you want to import it. You don't want to save a mesh file, you want to export it. And so there's a few other things down here that I won't go over right now, but that's that. Now, there are, like I said, troubleshooting. There's some things about a design program that can be very complicated. So if your viewport seems to have, something wrong with it, like let's say I exit out of one of my things and then I can't find it anymore. Let's say you just exit out of all of it and like what happened to it? I don't know how to get it back. This can happen when you're first starting. Maybe you've clicked on something and you have no idea what you did. So you can go to your main menu, view, reset window layout. Voila, it's all back. When I was first learning Matrix Gold, I've worked on Matrix Gold for about 6 months now. I did use Matrix from the 6.1 version or 6.0 all the way now through Matrix Gold. There are some things about Matrix Gold when you first start using it that's very difficult to wrap your brain around, and it's not even the parametrics. The parametrics are easy. It's why is the command line down at the bottom? Why are all of the things over here when they were somewhere else before? So some of those little idiosyncrasies are like the hardest part to figure out. But if you go up to the M, you go to the view, and you hit reset window layout, that can really help you if you've messed things up, which I did countless times. I can't even tell you. All right, so quick view. We're going to go over the quick commands. These are the commands that people use all the time. I'll be honest, there's a few that I've never used, at least out of the quick command window box. All right, undo. Let's just click undo and see what happens. Oh, that's different for Matrix Gold. It changed the color that I changed it to. What if I did it again? Okay, and again. Okay, and again. There we go. Let's hit redo. All right. Very good. Duplicate. This will duplicate items. So we're going to just gather up both of those items. There's a couple different ways we can do that. If I make a rectangle and click and drag it from the left, to the left, I do not have to completely cover the items I want to select. When I've selected it, you can see that it's highlighted in like a turquoise color. I can hit duplicate. I click, and then I click again, and I can click again and again and again. There we go. Now we have several. Okay, I'm going to undo. Let's say that I am trying to click. Okay, so duplicate, click, and I don't completely cover the design. Nothing is selected. If I go from the right, I can go part way, hit escape. If I go from the left, I have to surround the item completely. If you want to escape from a command, you do need to click on the viewport and hit escape, and then you're free to do another command. The command line in Matrix is right below all 4 viewports, and it's right here. So if I hit duplicate, the command line is very important to pay attention to. So it tells me to select the objects to copy. So maybe I just want to select one. And then it says press enter when done, which I can do by my right click. And then it wants to know where I want to copy it from. So let's just copy it from there. And it wants to know where I want to copy to. I can put it anywhere I want, but I can also hit F4, which is the center of the universe in Matrix, and then press enter when done. So you notice the last one where I hit F4, it did it right in the center of the viewport, which is F4. F4 is the center of your universe in Matrix. I'm going to move this one out of the way. Oh, maybe not. I'm going to hide it. All right, so if you want to hide some objects, there's a couple different ways to do it. The first way probably the easiest way originally is just to take and select your objects, go over here above your layer menu and click hide. Now we can look at that last object that I copied, and it is literally in the center, right on F4. F4 is your center of your viewport. It's the center of your grid. If you look at your grid, it will show you this is the y-axis, it's green, the red is X, and the Z is height. Okay, right over here in your top viewport, Y and X. Over here in your front viewport, you see X and Z. Over here in your side viewport, which is your right viewport, you see Y axes and Z axes. So if I wanted to center that, we'll show you how to do that later. Like, you can just grab it and move it, or you can use one of the transform menus, but I don't want to get into all that yet. So let's go ahead and show all of our things. Let's just say, let's delete that last one that was on F4. If I click it and hit delete, there you go. It's done. It's gone. All right, so let's move on. We were at undo, redo, duplicate. Edit points on, control points on, mirror. So one of the things that you'll notice is if you hover over the icons, it will tell you what it is. So that's great, because sometimes you're like, I know duplicate is one of these items. I can't remember which one. It will tell you. Now, along with the words duplicate, it will show you that if you left click on that, that's what you need to do. Edit points on is left click only. Control points on is left click only. If you get to mirror, it will say mirror. If you left click it, and mirror from center, which is our F4, if you right click it. Okay, so I right clicked on mirror. Select objects to mirror. I want to mirror this, and I want to press enter when done. And it already knows that I want to do it from my center because I clicked F4. Or I didn't click F4, but I right clicked on my mirror, which does it from F4, which is the center of your universe in CAD. And if I want to do an exact mirror, how do I do that? I just press shift and it locks it into place. Okay, so there we go. That is the mirrored version of this. These two are exact center. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to delete these two. So now I just have two spheres that are exactly centered on F4 from the left to the right, which is on the y-axis. Let's go to move. Move, it can be very handy. You can move it precisely. Let's say, so let's select this and let's select move. I want to move it from this point, and let's say I want to move it down towards the center, exactly 5 millimeters. Let's go 20 millimeters. Well, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20. Yeah, let's do 20 millimeters. 20 millimeters. That is 20 millimeters away from that. Now, if I hit shift, it will lock it into place. If I hit shift here, it'll lock it at a 45-degree angle, 90, 90, 45, 90, 45, 90. Let's do that. Now, you will notice that the other one moved as well. That only happens if you have your history on. Your history is one of the little things on the bottom here that you can click on or not have on. I had it on. That's the little green check mark. So my O snaps are also on. O snaps we'll get into later. Okay. Let's see. Rotate. If I want to rotate it, the one object, let's go ahead and click rotate. Select objects to rotate. Select, press enter. Know that I always go and refer to my command line. My center of my rotation, I am going to press F4 because it is the center of my CAD universe. All right, so I pressed F4. Now what I usually do is I press shift and it locks it into place. And now I'm going to rotate it up 45 degrees, negative 45. And then there you go. Let's do that again. I'm going to right click on my mouse and it asks me what objects. When I right clicked on my mouse, it activates the last command that I did. This is the object that I want to rotate. So I am going to press enter by right clicking on my mouse. Center of my rotation is F4. I'm going to lock it in at 45 and I am going to come down here 90 degrees away from that. There we go. It moved again. Okay, so now we are going to explode. I don't know if it will allow me to explode the sphere, but let's try it. I clicked explode. Please select the objects to explode. I'm going to select this one object. Press enter when done. All right. It says it cannot explode single surfaces. So the sphere is considered a single surface evidently, and it will not explode that. Okay. I didn't think it would. Okay, join is for when your surface, perhaps you've exploded it for some reason, and now you want to join it. So let's go ahead and bring a box. Excuse me. I'm going to see if I can explode this. Explode. Creating meshes. Okay. So let's take a look at this and see if it exploded. You can tell if something worked, like exploded, by selecting it and only the top part selected, only the side, only the end, and the other side. So that was successful at exploding. If I wanted to join this together, I could put a box around that, going from left to right, and only selecting the dark green box, and I could join that. Down here in my command line, it says creating meshes, so we know it worked. Now let's go and click on that, and look, it worked. It selected the whole box. All right, let's go to split or split at point. We're not going to get into that, but that's the split command, and here is the trim command. We will do that later on another video. If I wanted to group some items together, I would use the group command. So let's do that. Let's select everything here on the screen and hit group. How do we know if it worked? If I only select one item and all of them are highlighted like they are here, that means it grouped. Okay, so let's select these and let's hit ungroup, which is the next command. Ungroup. All right, let's see if it worked. It worked. So here is something a little bit tricky. If you accidentally hit group more than once, let's go 3 times. And now you want to ungroup it. You select it and you hit ungroup. Did it work? It's still grouped. You have to hit ungroup 3 times. So yeah, there we go. Now it is ungrouped. This is a ring rail, which is something that as a jewelry designer I use 80% of the time. I create rings. So let's go ahead and delete these items to show you ring rail. So if I left click, that gives me a ring rail. The default is size 7, which you will find over in the right hand side of the viewports, and you can change it. This is a US size 7. I'm based in the US, so let's change that to a 6.5. And then I will press enter, which is the right click, and that is a 6.5. How do you know it's a 6.5? You can select it, go back over to the ring rail, and it will say finger size US 6.5. If I say edit, it will show it a little bit brighter. And this is just a millimeter or inches. You can flip that back and forth. As a designer, we use millimeter all the time. Okay, so I don't need to edit that. So there we go. Just right click and then you're done. You get out of that. Now you'll notice that on the top viewport, you can't really even see the ring rail. On the side viewport, you can't see it, but it is there. If you select it, you'll see it highlighted, right? It's highlighted here, but you really see it better in the front view and the perspective view. So that's why I usually design with all 4 viewports, unless I am trying to do something. And to rotate this viewport, you just click on the right mouse and you click and hold and you move it. Okay, you want to keep the ring rail right where it's at. You don't want it to be moved. It is in the center of F4. And so if, let's just say you accidentally move it and you don't notice it right away. Oh, how are you going to fix that? You can select it and go up to transform, center object, press enter. Okay. The problem is it has broken history if you do that. So let's go back. Hit undo, undo, and now it's back where it originally was, and hopefully it still has history. The dynamic commands, we will get into why they're called that, but if it still shows up and you're able to edit it, that means that it did not break history, which is good. Sometimes something will show up in your command line and you're not sure what it is. You can hit escape like I just did, and then you're clear to go. Let's go to the next one, which is outside ring rail. If I right click, my outside ring rail shows up. All right, I am going to double click on the front viewport, and if I double click, it takes me into it and zooms in, and it's the only viewport there. If I double click again, it takes me back to all 4 views. You can also just click on this. Let's see. No, why does I do that? Top. There we go. Oh, anyway, that's a new thing for me. I just thought I would try it. Didn't really do much. Okay, I'm going to double click on that front viewport. And I am going to adjust my outside ring rail. Now, some of the tricky part about being a jewelry designer is actually working in the field, working with a manufacturer, and figuring out what their tolerances are. Every manufacturer is going to have a little bit different tolerances depending on the machines that they use and the tolerances that they feel comfortable standing behind with a warranty. And so I have learned these throughout the years. There's some that I use consistently, and I know that it's going to give a really good result if I use these tolerances. So sometimes what you see me do is just what I'm comfortable with, making good jewelry that's going to last for a very long time. It's a little thick, but if you did 1.8, that gives a very nice bottom or back of the ring. I will do the 1.8 or even more if the ring is top heavy. For example, if it's a 5-carat diamond ring and it has a lot of metal around it, a lot of stones, I probably need to have the back of the ring a little bit thicker in order to balance it out to keep it from spinning so badly. But a lot of rings, especially like an engagement ring, I will do 1.6. Typically, the finish of the ring, it's going to finish 0.2 less millimeters. So it'll finish at about 1.4, 1.45. I usually just allow 0.2. On the side of the ring, I will do, if there's no stones, I'll do 2 millimeters. If there are stones, I might do 2.2. So let's do 2.2. And then up here, I will do 2.4. Now, you might think, well, why do you have to do it a little taller here? Well, in an engagement ring, you want the wedding band to fit flush up against that. It just gives a little more room for the prongs of the engagement ring and the larger center stone to be a little more flush. So that's why I do that. All right, gem. Let's go ahead and click on gem, see what happens. Defaults on the gem are round, and they come in at a certain size, and then you can adjust it. You can move the gem off center by doing the bright green toggle. If you come into the perspective view, you can see it a little bit better. If you zoom in and out, it also changes where the toggle's at. And so I am not going to toggle this off of F4, but I will show you that that's what you can do. Well, let's just go ahead and do that. Right here, and you notice that you can see that it moved off center over here, and you can also rotate it this way, and this way. So look at all the ways you can move that. Let's go ahead and put it back. And if I put it back, it completely deletes it, because that one thing that when we brought it up and we made all those changes, we did not get out of the command at all. So that's just considered one. So we'll go ahead and hit gem again, bring it straight up, and this changes your width and it changes it all the way around. So let's go ahead and make it a big one. We'll make it an 11.2 millimeter. We'll keep the depth the same because it adjusted it. And we just right click or enter. So now we have a ring rail, outside ring rail, and a beautiful center stone. All right, next, gem on curve. We will go over that later, but it's right here on your quick commands. Gem on ring rails right here. Hide, break history, match attributes, profile placer, sweep one, add profile to library, and render studio. Render studio will pull that up real quick, and look at that. It brings a whole nother section where you can actually select what gemstone and what metal you want. on your design. I'm going to exit out of that for now. And that's what we have so far in our discovery of what matrix gold looks like. I'm going to end this video right here because I want you to be able to kind of look at it in little bites and just kind of view this portion of it, and then I will have part 2 soon. Thanks for watching, and you're welcome.